Hello, and welcome to another Child Month activity, the Teen Panel. The Teen Panel is organized by teens with the support and guidance of the Department of Children and Family Services. This year's discussion topic, COVID-19 and the impact on teens. So stay tuned, stay safe, stay home, and listen to our teens share their experiences, their insights on this such a fitting topic. Remember, they are today's creation, becoming tomorrow's masterpiece.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Child Month Teen Panel 2020. Brought to you by the Department of Children and Family Services, our topic is one that is dominating the news agenda globally, the COVID-19 pandemic. Our specific focus is the impact that COVID-19 is having on our teenagers. The department recognizes that adolescence is an important developmental milestone and is a time when individuals start gaining independence and shaping who they will become as adults. It may also be an emotionally charged time when teens are learning about themselves and who they aspire to be. Due to these changes and challenges, as parents and caregivers, it is important to check in on teens during this global pandemic. My name is Zoe Connolly Basdeo, and I'll be your moderator today. I am 19 years old, and I am a first-year psychology student at King's College London. Thus, in the future, I look to become a clinical or occupational psychologist. Now, I'll hand it over to our panelists to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Deqaun Smith. I am 17 years old. I attend Wells Cathedral School and I hope to become a professional musician.
Hello, my name is Naja Beach. I am 16 years old. I attend John Gray High School and I hope to become a lawyer.
Hi, my name is Ayanda Jones. I am 19 years old. I attend the University of Edinburgh, and my professional goals are surrounding the field of foreign policy. So I aspire to work as either a senior foreign policy analyst or a diplomat.
Hello, my name is Paxton MCCoy. I'm 16 years old, and I attend Cayman Prep and High School, and I would like to become a naval engineer or a naval architect.
Hi, my name is Cristin Jackson and I'm 17 years old. I attend Cayman International School and I aspire to be a doctor.
Hello, my name is Nelda Hunter. I am 16 years old and I attend Lehman Scott Senior High School in the Brat. And my hobbies are riding and swimming. And I aspire to be a social worker in the future.
Thank you, everyone. We begin with questions under the theme, what is it like to live under a pandemic? First question, do you think it is really necessary to stay at home to keep the spread of COVID-19 down?
I think it is very necessary that we stay at home to keep COVID down so that we ensure that we can't pick up the infection and that we can't give the infection to others.
Echoing what Deqaun said, I think it is really important that we stay home during this time, not only for our own safety, but for the safety of the people around us.
Adhering to the shelter-in-place regulations that we all must follow, I think it's really critical to be able to do this as we are not working. I think in order to reduce the spread among the community and protect frontline workers and workers in the supermarkets and gas stations, it's really important that we stay home.
I believe it is very important to stay home as Cayman has an aging elderly population, which are higher at risk than we are as a younger generation. Secondly, with higher community spread in the Cayman Islands, it will take a longer time to recover back to what would be normal.
I think that it's imperative that we absolutely do the most to minimize our movements and only visit pharmacies or supermarkets if absolutely necessary. Not only should we take care of the people in our household, but we have a responsibility as young people to take care of those who have immune deficiencies and the elderly population.
Yes, because it reduces the risk of getting the virus, which will hopefully allow us to get back to our normal lives sooner.
Now back to the second question. Due to COVID-19, shelter in place is the new norm. Describe your new routine.
My routine is pretty much as it was when I was living in the UK and going to school there. I would wake up and I would practice, and then I would get on with my schoolwork for the day, and then I'd have time later on in the day to practice more.
My routine currently in this quarantine process is kind of really similar to how it was before we came off, because I feel like my teachers are making really sure that we get most of the same things, same teaching and all that we would at school. So it's really similar. I wake up, go to classes, and then around 3 o'clock I have free time.
My daily schedule has drastically changed since leaving university, as I'm no longer attending class. So I have a lot more free time to explore hobbies and really just make the most of the time that I have with my family. So I usually would wake up, make some food, do whatever needed to be done that day, cleaning, read a book, maybe watch some TV, and then I would make sure to get my daily exercise in, and then cook dinner, and then maybe talk to some friends.
My schedule has changed drastically. It started with online school, but I have no school now, and my schedule has become really flexible. And you almost have to keep yourself busy so you don't get bored as doing hobbies or exercising throughout the day.
My schedule has changed completely. I've gone from regularly going to school between 8 to 3 to now staying home completely all day. I try to make it a point to go outside on a walk for at least 10 minutes a day just to get fresh air and spend more time with my family and connect with friends online via calls or texts, because it's important right now to stay connected.
Well, living in the BRAC, there's not a whole lot to do, so I wouldn't say my routine has changed very much. However, I am able to get more hours at my part-time job due to not having to go to school, and spend more time with friends and family, so I'd say that's a plus.
What are your thoughts on how the media could possibly do a better job disseminating COVID-19 pandemic information to the public? Is it too much or too little, and why?
I feel that the media has done a fairly good job of giving out information and telling us what we need to know. I don't think that it's too much. I think that we've been given the information that we need to have so we can make choices according to what we've been told.
I really do believe that there's no such thing as too much information, but I feel like the media could really make use of platforms that are more accessible to teens, such as social media, when giving information about the pandemic, just so that we can stay informed and be just as in the know as our parents.
I think the media plays an extremely important role, not only in disseminating information about COVID-19, but also in tackling it. I think it's really important that teens stay informed about this virus and how to protect themselves and protect the ones they love from it. But at the same time, I think the media is doing a really good job in providing different levels of access to information. I think key messaging is really accessible to everybody via social media and the news. And if you are really curious to go out there and do more research yourself, there are resources that you can access through that. So I think the media is doing an overall good job, and I think there's just the right amount of information out there for everybody.
I believe that the media is doing a good job, as we are getting daily press briefings, and even though they have cut down on which days they're doing them, they still give us the information that we need, and it's up-to-date information. So I believe that we're getting it, and we're getting it in chunks that's understandable.
To echo the points previously made, I do believe that the media is doing a good job in terms of providing accessible and accurate information. However, it's upon us to decide how much of that we want to utilize. I know some people can get overwhelmed if they read too much of it, but at the same time, it is important for us to stay aware of what's going on.
Well, I feel like the media has been doing a rather good job in spreading awareness. However, I feel they focus too much on how to prevent the virus rather than interviewing people who have recovered. and to allow them to share their experiences and symptoms. So I think by now we all get the point, and I'm confident that we are all tired of hearing about COVID-19.
We now move to questions on coping with the pandemic. Firstly, what are the important life events you are missing out on because of the shelter in place? How are you coping with these losses?
As a student and a musician at a specialist music school, all of our concerts and rehearsals have been cancelled, and that is quite sad. It would have been nice to have gone through with the concerts that we worked so hard for, but how I cope with it is that I just practice more of the stuff that I wanted to practice and get better behind the scenes, I guess. Yeah.
As I'm in my last year of high school, there are a lot of traditions that we have that I'm going to be missing out on this year. But honestly, it doesn't feel like that much of a loss because I'd much rather us be home and safe than us be doing what we usually do and in danger. So you just have to think that it's for the greater good. So
as a first-year university student, I think missing out on a great chunk of my last semester as a freshman was a big shock to the system. And I think it's definitely something that all of 19 and 20-year-olds will be mourning the loss of because it's not something easily replicated. However, I deal with this just by thinking that the events that I would have missed out on can be replicated in my second year. And I'm just looking forward to returning in September and knowing that hopefully life will be able to continue kind of relatively normally once I return in the fall.
This was my final year at GCSEs and they were cancelled, so they were having to provide a means of grades for everybody. Also, our graduation ceremony was postponed to later in the year, and stuff like prom, missing out on social celebrations and like milestones is just like some of the normal things that we've missed out on, but it's not made the biggest of difference. We can still have them just later down the line.
So as a senior, I'm missing graduation, prom, and like taking my driving test, but I'm coping with them by staying connected to friends.
Like I said earlier, there isn't a lot going on the BRAC, which I strongly think the government should do something about after this pandemic is over. Therefore, I'm not missing out on much other than the uncertainty of when I will be able to do my CXC exams, which is concerning as I need them to pass to go on to further education.
What encouragement can you provide for your teen peers who are becoming bored due to the prolonged COVID-19 shelter in place?
The advice that I would give is to keep busy and to make yourself busy. Because there are so many things that you can do. You can pick up a hobby that you lay to rest for a while. You can do more studying. And you can use the time to build connections with your friends abroad and your family at home.
the best advice I can give is to just try something new that you didn't have time to do before, like learn a new language or start a new book.
I would say to any teens at home that find themselves bored during the shelter-in-place lockdown, just to keep at it and to remember why we're all staying at home together to do something. I think for us, every generation has a call to action, and this really is ours. Oftentimes in previous decades, people have had to go to war or have had to give up certain freedoms that kind of seem a lot more grave and distraught than this one. And while not being able to see your friends and your loved ones is something that will impact us a lot, I think we need to remember that almost we're being called to action or to inaction, better said, because really all we have to do is do nothing at all. And so keep at it, keep busy, make sure that your mental health isn't suffering while you're at home, but really remind yourself every day as to why you're doing it and the real difference that you're making.
Know that we're doing this for the right reason, and it will pass. It's only just a period of time that we're going to have to staying at our houses. And also to keep yourself occupied, you have this time, take advantage of it. Take Take up something new that you haven't learned before, or do something that you haven't done before, or do a hobby that you've always fancied to do but you never had the time to. Well, now's the time to take it up and try it.
I definitely think it's important to stay active, whether that's reading or going on a run during the allotted times. And I just want to remind everyone who's feeling dejected that, you know, we're one of those generations who grew up on, you know, this idea of heroes, from Harry Potter to, you know, superhero movies that are becoming, you know, so ingrained in pop culture. I definitely think it's important for us to realize that right now we have a responsibility to stay home, and it may seem like, you know, you're suffering and you're missing your friends and you're missing these big moments, but at the end of the day, it's going to save lives and make all the real difference.
Well, I'd say keep yourself occupied. We have more time now than ever. So we don't have to keep procrastinating for what we wanted to do. And so things that we could do is like studying, exercising, finding new hobbies, finding ourselves, because some of us are lost, and occupy ourselves in this difficult time.
To a teen who is really anxious about COVID-19 and its impact on their life, what is that one pertinent thing you would say to him or her?
For those who are anxious about the virus and its effect on our lives, I would say that you shouldn't overdo it when it comes to informing yourself. Take as much information as you need, but don't overstep it, because you'll just get yourself worked up and you'll start getting stressed about things that you shouldn't get stressed about, but you should keep careful about. You should keep them in mind, but don't let them take over.
Please remember that you are not alone. We are all alone together. We're all in this together. And this too will end. Everything has to come to an end at some point. So this is not going to last forever, and just hold on for a little while.
To any teen that's feeling anxious during these times, I would say your feelings are extremely valid, and a lot more people than you think are probably experiencing the same emotions. Right now, it's almost expected in this time of uncertainty that people are feeling anxious and worried about their future, about the health of their family and friends, and about the future of their country. But I would just say that there are a lot of resources out there to access if you're feeling like this, and if you feel as though you don't have much control over the situation. You can reach out to the Alex Panton Foundation. There are many hotlines that you can call and professionals that you can talk to address this, these feelings. And also make sure to reach out to your friends and family, because oftentimes they're going through the exact same situation that you are, and really feeling like you're a part of a community often helps.
I would say to them to not make it get the best of you, because there's going to be a solution to pretty much every problem that has arisen. May it be exams, going off to school, or any problem like that. There's going to be a solution to it, and it might be just a delay, but it will be okay.
My advice would be to take it day by day, to just inhale a deep breath and slowly let it out. A lot of us are feeling anxious right now when faced with uncertainty about next week, the next month, you know, the future. So just make sure that you have a support system, whether that's your family or your friends, or use hotlines if you feel like you need someone to talk to make sure that you are checking in with yourself and your emotions.
I would say take a deep breath and try to look over the negative effects of COVID-19, and just to think positively that we can get through this together.
How are you keeping your mind and body healthy?
Mentally, I am studying, I'm reading, and I am practicing. Even though that is slightly physical, it's mental as well, because I have to internalize what I'm playing and what I'm reading on the music. So that does take a bit of brain power. And for physically, I walk every day for the time that I'm allowed to. and I will swim when I can, and that's it.
For my mind, I've been reading a lot. I really like to read, and I haven't had time before the pandemic because of school and such. So I've been having a lot more time to read and really process things in a deeper manner. And also for my body, it wasn't really healthy before, so it's about the same. I try to go for a walk at least once a week, but it's about my body's the same amount of health that it was before, so there's nothing new there.
In regards to keeping my mind and body healthy, I wasn't extremely active before COVID-19, but because of the reduced interactions I have with the outside world and my friends, I've definitely found a lot of solace and enjoyment in running when I can, where I can. So I tend to do that every other day. And in terms of keeping my mind healthy, definitely I've been incorporating a lot more mindful activities into my daily routine. I practice that when I'm walking or running. I also like to practice mindfulness if I ever notice myself getting a bit anxious or sad. And because I'm not in school anymore, unfortunately, I'm not getting as much mental stimulation as I usually would, but I'm definitely looking to the future in terms of internship opportunities for next year. And I'm reading journals and just engaging with different academic material in order to keep up my passion for my degree.
I personally like to build things. Pretty much all my hobbies are things to do outside, such as working on jet skis, building jet skis, working on my boat, or building dirt bikes for fun. I'm just a very hands-on person, and it keeps me busy, and I don't have the time to just sit down and be bored and think about things if you're keeping yourself occupied.
In order to keep my mind healthy, I really try to focus on my schoolwork and set a schedule for when to get things done. I've also taken more to reading the books that I haven't had time to finish because of regular day-to-day life. And in terms of keeping my body physically healthy, I've been trying to make sure that I get enough sleep each night, because it's really easy to mess up your sleep schedule during this time when you can use, your phone or Netflix as a distraction.
Well, I like to keep myself occupied. I exercise while listening to music in the evenings, which I find really helps to clear my mind of everything that is happening around us. So I'd say my overall mind and body health is up to standard.
Now we'll explore questions on meaning making during a pandemic. Firstly, have you discovered anything new about your home or family?
I have discovered that our family is quite close than I thought we were before. We do a lot of things together because we are now all together all the time. So I found out that we have become a bit closer, and that it's actually quite fun to be at home all the time.
I found out that me and my brother have a lot in common, and we are very similar, which is kind of strange. But I mean, I didn't know much about him before the pandemic, to be honest. I didn't really know anything that he liked or any of his interests or anything like that. It's been interesting learning about him as a person because we're kind of forced to spend more time together.
I've definitely uncovered a lot about my family during this period of lockdown, especially how we react to crises. I've learned that I'm very much like my father in that respect. However, my mother is the complete opposite. And it's really nice to know that despite our differences, when it comes down to it and when it's necessary to work as a team, we really do get along, and we really do just try to do little things every day to make each other's lives easier.
I realized how close me and my brother are to each other. We're almost exactly alike. We have a lot of the same interests, and it's kind of amazing. I never really noticed it before, even though we're 8 years apart. Well, yeah.
I haven't learned too much new things about my family. We've always been quite close, but I've definitely had the opportunity now to look through more old photos and play board games with them. So that's quite nice.
I haven't really learned anything new other than how annoying it can be to be around them so much.
Name 2 things you're most grateful for despite the circumstances.
I am extremely grateful for the nearly unlimited time I have to practice. And I'm extremely grateful for being in my home with my family.
I am very grateful for my school and my teachers. I really miss them a lot more than I thought I would. And I'm also very grateful for my family because we are spending so much more time together. I realize how much I appreciate them.
I'm extremely grateful for the health and happiness and security of my family, because when it comes down to it, during a crisis, you really recognize how much the little things aren't important and how much you really just value the people that are important to you in your life. And I'm also extremely grateful for this internet age that we live in today and the fact that no matter where you are in the world, you can somewhat easily get in contact with your family or your friends and just remain as close to them as physically or virtually possible.
My family and a roof over my head. You have to be grateful for everything that you're given. And I am grateful for my loving and supportive family.
I'm very grateful for my mom and my brother. My mom's been my rock, and my brother is so funny to be around. I'm also very grateful to have a roof over my head and food on the table every night.
Well, I am very grateful for Honorable Moses Kakernal for allowing me to work at his supermarket here in the BRAC. I am especially grateful that the virus has not affected any of my loved ones.
How do you see the future being different because of the pandemic? This may include the emotional impact on the economy, or on your educational/career goals.
I feel like we will become more appreciative as a civilization. We will all begin to pay more attention to the bigger things and to appreciate each other and ourselves a lot more than we have done in the past. However, I think it is sad, and I hope it doesn't happen, but I think that we are going to become slightly more distant to other people and more slightly antisocial, if I'm being honest, which I hope doesn't happen, but I can see how it could pan out to become that.
I think as a society, we're going to be more appreciative of the time that we have together because we all know now what it feels like to be distant from each other, kind of echoing what Deqaun said. So yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest change, that we're going to really start to appreciate time that we spend with each other and what we're doing together.
I think besides the economic impact, which Deqaun has already mentioned, I think there's going to be a significant emotional impact on humans in general, because we are social beings, and I think we thrive in social situations, and COVID has really taken that away from us, and it will probably continue to impact how we interact as a society for years to come until a vaccine to this virus has been found and adequately distributed. But I think it's important to remember and to really internalize this and make sure that regardless, we're doing the most in this key stage in our developmental adolescence to reach out, to continue to make important emotional connections with your friends, with your family, other loved ones. And I think, especially in relation to my specific degree, I think a lot more international cooperation will be prioritized. And I think a lot of people will just recognize the importance that technology holds in terms of connecting us and oftentimes saving our lives.
I believe that it's going to be a new norm, such as social distancing, and it's not going to be going back to what it was before the pandemic, I believe it's going to be a lot different, and I believe even here it's going to take at least till the end of the year before the tourism sector comes back up, because the airport's going to be closed for pretty much the rest of the year due to renovations.
I definitely see people becoming more appreciative of the structure that school provides us and our teachers and essential workers. I hope that this sense of wanting to be connected to each other continues after the pandemic is over, and that sense of community is further strengthened once it is. I definitely think that, as the pandemic ends, you'll see a lot more people regularly wearing masks in our community. That's not something that's completely too normalized here, but I definitely think it could become a bit more normalized.
Well, definitely, I think our future will be different. However, I feel it will help us to see life in a different perspective and to appreciate things more. I see it affecting our economy in a negative way, in the sense that it will need a jump start to get back to normal. But with faith and the actions the governments are taking, I know it's not impossible.
How has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your educational goals?
It hasn't really affected my educational goals as far as music is concerned. However, academically, it has kind of halted my rapid progress in studies such as psychology because of the nature of that discipline. It is very much a subject that you need someone to explain to you what's going on, because most of the time you're not understanding what's going on yourself. So I have missed out on learning a lot more than I would normally when I had a teacher that was explaining things in depth. But with my other subjects, such as music, my mother's a music teacher, so she can help me. And Spanish, Spanish is my second language, so it's not that difficult, but it would have been nice to have had that group setting where you can have conversations easily with other people.
It hasn't really changed my educational goals at all. I'm still working past the XC exams, and then after that, hopefully I could go overseas and continue my education there.
Leaving adolescence and kind of looking forward to the future, especially in the job market in the current state that it's in, has, I think, not only kind of opened my eyes to the importance of having a really stable and in-demand job, but it has really just opened my eyes into how hard one must work in order to be able to be kind of a valued, integral employee in many organizations. So my educational goals have remained the same, and they've slightly strengthened. And I'm really just working hard to finish my degree, pursue a higher level of education further than that, and just broaden my repertoire in terms of the language that I speak and the different kind of, I guess, areas of work I could specialize in.
It's affected my educational goals. I was going to finish up my GCSEs and I was looking to leave, but now my GCSEs were cancelled and I'm going to stay for a year in sixth form and then I'm going to go away to school.
With all the free time that we're now given, I'm definitely inspired to take up a new language. And in terms of my further education, there are some uncertainties about that, you know, with being able to go overseas or not for college, but I'm still hopeful that I will be able to, or at least be able to have classes online with that. In terms of my career, I'm even more inspired to be a doctor and motivated to pursue that field.
Well, like I said earlier, it is concerning what will be done to complete my exams and get my passes for applying to a college. And with this pandemic, my goals are delayed.
For those overseas students present, what concerns did you have being in another country?
Definitely one of my concerns being overseas is that I would not be able to get home, as I was told that the airports were closing, that they weren't going to allow any flights, and that actually turned out not to be true, so that was fine. But when I did come home, then they did strengthen the going in and coming out of people. So I was anxious that I wouldn't be able to get home, but I was also anxious that I wasn't going to be able to do the stuff that I needed to do while I was in the UK.
Similarly, I was really worried about not being able to make it home. I think I was just worried that I wouldn't be able to find a flight and I wouldn't be able to move out of my university accommodation in time. But I was also really worried about unknowingly bringing the virus back to Cayman. However, thanks to the isolation centers that are available on island, I was able to be isolated and tested, and I got my results back obviously negative. And so I really was just happy that I knew I wasn't posing as a risk to not only my family, but the wider community.
Lastly, looking towards the future, What is the first thing you plan to do after we receive an all clear?
I plan to schedule some concerts that I was planning to honor while I was in Cayman, and hopefully schedule new ones, because I think it's so important that music helps us during this time, and the arts in general, because I'm sure that a lot of people would find it very difficult to cope with this pandemic if they didn't have books to read, if they didn't have music to listen to, or if they couldn't watch some drama, like theater and movies, which are all art forms, and you need artists to do that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to schedule concerts because I think it's important that people have access to music.
The first thing I'm going to do once we get an all clear is go meet up with some friends, because I really miss them. And I might visit some of my teachers too, because I really miss them as well. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do as soon as
Depending on what the all clear looks like, because I'm sure that business as usual may not return for quite some time after COVID is even potentially eradicated from the island. I would definitely go to see my friends. I definitely just want to hang out with them, give them a hug, maybe organize a big party, because a lot of people are celebrating, for example, graduating university or a new job, etc. So I think just really spending quality time without a screen with my friends is something that I'm so eager to do.
Go and see my friends and go out in the boat with my family.
I would love to go see my grandparents. Right now, I can't see them because, they're a part of the vulnerable population, but I would also really like to meet up with my friends and go to the movies once we're given the all clear.
My plan is to definitely focus on moving forward with my education and to continue working to achieve my goals, and to just plan future vacations with family.
That concludes the Child Month Teen Panel 2020. I would like to thank the panelists for sharing their insightful views. They continue to inspire young people across Cayman to stay strong during these difficult times. Appreciation is also extended to the Department of Children and Family Services for providing this medium for teen voices to be heard, to the Alex Panton Foundation for its input, and to you, the viewers, for taking the time to listen. See you next year, and stay safe, Cayman.